Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, 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 and welcome. So good to be here. So good to see you all. Metaphysically, metaphorically, something like that. I'm Robyn Rice Olmsted, and this is my partner,
Natacha Wilson.
the
And
doctor.
we are, the doctor. And we're girls behaving metaphysically.
We are that. But full disclosure, we're girls behaving metaphysically and not feeling as physical.
No, not feeling
like
very well. Not feeling very well today, guys. I woke up really unwell today. So I'm only going to be here for the first half of the show. But I had to be here.
So here we are. And I know last week I promised it would be different this week, but clearly my lesson is to get used to living into the unknown, even when it has to do with production. So here we are. Natacha, how was your week other than getting sick?
No, my week was actually really good. And even today, right before coming on the air, I don't have like a paper. I wish I had something to hold up, but I just found out that I got membership into the Australian Association of Social Work. And what that means is that I can be what is called a Medicare bulk biller here in Australia. So that is big, huge, happy news for me. So it's been a great week. My kids are on school holiday. We went to see the Kung Fu Panda movie. My daughter now wants to do Kung Fu. I mean, it's been a great week. I mean, and I think someone said like this upper respiratory thing I have going on is connected to the eclipse. So I was like, okay.
Well, it's all connected, right?
Everything, right?
That's like, what we do here. We decide it's all connected somehow to everything. So,
what about you? What about your week, Robyn?
Oh, it's been a great week. Some of you know, my husband lives in New Mexico and I'm in California, but I was fortunate enough to spend a few weeks there with him, and that's been great. And he's coming here on Thursday, so I'm on a 2-day countdown, and I'm excited. I'm excited about that. I feel like, I don't know, everything feels good. It feels in motion. Life feels in motion. It's probably because of the eclipse.
Everything is because of the eclipse.
I know.
Yeah.
Total eclipse of the sun, right? Yeah. But I mean, all in all, it's been good. So Natacha wanted to say hello.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that, look, I know we had a format. We wanted to sort of live into today and like, this happened. This is what happened. But good news is because I have like a bunch of extra time on my hand now that my like kid can be in activities full time. And I don't have another job yet, but I don't know. I think that might be changing. But anyway, so I'm into tarot reading now. So I pulled a tarot card for us, Robyn.
Okay.
And you know what it was? The Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, you got to say it like Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
I know I'm new to tarot reading. Remember I said I'm taking up new things because my daughter, I got time now. So I'll just read what it says. It says fate, fortune, success, destiny, change, luck, abundance, karma, joyful news, and a fresh start. And I'll just leave it there because there's too much other stuff to read and I don't feel well enough to do that. So that's good enough.
Well, we're definitely claiming fresh start for you.
Yes.
And all the rest of it too. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
That's exciting. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I do. I think that's perfect card for us.
It is. So we're excited today that Dr. Reverend Barbara Jean could step in and
Yes.
join us here. And so we're going to allow Natacha to depart and after our break. And we're going to see what the conversation brings.
Yes, yes, yes. I was thinking though, Robyn, and so you can tell me what you think. I was thinking we could talk a little bit about like what our ideas are moving forward, because the theme that you had come up with around spending some time thinking about our connection to Earth as we have Earth Day in April, right? I think that's beautiful.
Well, we got a lot of April left, so we can go back there.
Yeah, yeah. Just to give people a sense of like what's going to be coming, ways to be thinking about how they can contribute and what they want to participate in terms of their thoughts around being deeply connected to the earth as a spiritual practice. I just think that's a beautiful idea. And I think folks will enjoy talking about that.
And that's what we will do next week. We will talk about the connection to the earth and just what that means, and how it shows up all the time, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
I like the cap, by the way. This is like a new look.
I don't know how new it is, but yeah, I'm always happy when I put on a baseball cap. I love baseball.
You do love baseball.
I'm a Dodger fan. See,
I know. I remember when
in all colors.
Yeah, I remember your Facebook page from a while ago. Like you had a cartoon of you like in a baseball kind of thing. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I do. I do love it. I love it that it's baseball season. I love sports, but baseball is the one of the hour. So
you're gonna have to share your love of sports with me, because I really don't like sports, and I realized I didn't know the difference between something and something else, and it was like LeBron James and I don't know. I was like, what's that? I don't know.
Oh dear God. Okay. Well, yes. Well, we'll have to do a whole show on sports, because, I mean, to me, sports is so is like quintessential metaphysics. It's just, I mean, oneness and dedication and excellence and all of the qualities of spirit show up for me in sports, and it's like such a great teacher. And I don't even want to know what else you didn't know besides LeBron James. That's like kind of criminal.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's a person in sports, but I don't really know like what sport. And yeah, I mean, look, my brothers played sports. They all play. I remember all my brothers played basketball. They all play, but
yeah, we got it. We go. You don't have to explain a whole lot further. Yeah, if you don't know LeBron James, I get it. You.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks, Wayne. Good to see you out there, Sage and on. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah, it's hard for me. I don't know. I can't imagine a world without sports.
No, they're gonna be there. And I come, and this is weird. I come from a family of athletes, so now that I'm thinking, I know like running stuff, like stuff about track. But that's, I don't know. I learned how to build a fire.
Okay. All right.
Oh, he plays for the Lakers. Okay.
But he didn't always play for the Lakers. Just so you know.
Well, because he's from Akron, so I'm assuming that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, don't assume. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We'll save it for that show. So
Okay,
yes, sports will be another topic, but this month we're going to talk about the earth and our connection to the earth and all of that stuff on next week, and just how we're connected and the oneness with animals and nature and all that good stuff. And Natacha pulled a card today. Next week I'll pull an animal card. We'll see what comes up.
We should. I think this is a good thing. We should do this all the time. I love pulling cards, and we don't have to just. I got this beautiful deck too. Because I told you I'm trying to find things to do now that I have these extra hours in my day. So now I'm just gonna become a psychic.
Okay. All right. Well, we may have to like do an addition to the show. Girls behaving psychically.
I mean, it's all metaphysics, right? Like, it's all metaphysics. I'm so sorry, Robyn, that I'm so sick today. I really, really, really.
It's okay. It's all right. It happens to all of us. So once again, I just want to welcome everyone out there. And I think, are you complete? Because if you are, I think we should just take a break and then come back with Barbara.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And I am so girls behaving psychically.
Girls behaving psychically. Well, right now, as we send you off, I'm going to behave spiritually, and I'm just going to know that your body temple is clearing out whatever it needs to clear out, and that health and wholeness is yours right here and right now. So as you take that nap, I know you just rejuvenate and regenerate and reinvigorate your spirit and your body temple, and that all is well. And so it is.
And so it is. Ashe. Can I just quickly, before I'm going to go, you know how I am. I just got one more. I'm going to go. There would be times that I would talk to Robyn just because I wanted to hear her pray. Sometimes I would think like, oh, I got this thing happening and this thing happening. And Robyn would be just like, okay, stop. Let's pray. And she'd pray and I'd be like, oh, everything is beautiful. Life is so good. You should pray more often for us because your prayers are magic, woman. No, you pray and I'd be on the verge of tears when you be praying. You got something special there. You got something special.
All right. Well, let's bottle that up and let's move it on out. Sell it to the people. All right. Feel better. And everybody else, send her your love and prayers. And we'll be right back here on New Thought Media Network in a minute.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, and welcome back to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I have to say, I love our theme song. That's by the fabulous Ray Davis. And it just makes me smile and giggle every time I hear it. So I am back. I am one girl behaving metaphysically. However, I am fortunate enough to have had a guest jump in, Barbara Jean. Come on in.
Hey, Robyn, glad to be here. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. So Barbara and I are just winging it here. We're gonna talk about something.
Well, you know, I agree with you about the song. Just as I was listening to it, I was thinking, oh, first thing I got to say is how much I love the song. And then you did. So we are on the same page.
There you go. One mind. So Barbara is from Canada.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about you.
I'm a mother of 4, grandmother of 2, great-grandmother of 1, and I've been doing this for the last 25 years, minister here in Toronto, and loving life, living metaphysically, of course. And I love that you sent your beautiful co-host off with a little bit of treatment. That was awesome.
Yeah.
We can talk about prayer treatment, man. That is my jam too. It's a big part of what we do at CSL.
Yeah. Well, prayer is so important, period. So let me ask you, as you've obviously chosen to walk through many spiritual hoops to get where you are, and many trainings and speakers and openings and I'm sure experiences. What do you think? What would you say? What would you say about prayer in that realm? Like, how has prayer guided your life?
Oh man, it's yielded. It's interesting. One of the things about prayer in the way that we do it is that it is a healing modality, and I have healed a few things in my life over the years, but probably the biggest one was just 1.5 years ago when I was, it's coming up, maybe getting closer to 2 years. I was on my way to a conference for Unity, because I'm a Unity ordained minister as well. And I was on my way to their conference and I had back issues. I was using a walker, a wheelchair anytime I would have to be somewhere where I had to move a lot. And on my way to Kansas, I thought, wait a minute, Myrtle Fillmore healed herself in the 1800s of tuberculosis, and if she could do it, well, surely I can. And about 4 days later, I set my walker aside and I haven't used it since. Wow. And yeah, it's like, and my roommate at the time, we traveled together from here. And, I would crawl out of bed and grab my walker and wander around the halls of the hotel. And on that 4th day, when the healing occurred, I walked into the conference hall and turned around, listened to the morning speaker, got up, no more pain. I was completely healed in that moment. And even danced that night at the little party that they were closing off the conference at. So my roommate was like, what has happened here? But I'll tell you, the power of prayer is beyond, the idea is that our minds create our reality. And if we can shift that, we shift everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's you up there, huh?
That's me. Yeah. And that little thing above it is you be you and I'll be me and all will be well. I really believe that if we just lived authentically, that would really have a lot to do with saving a lot of the challenges in our world.
Oh, amen to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Go
but when
ahead.
you're talking about prayer, what it reminded me of is when I mean, your experience is like one of those, I took me back to the healers, like the Christian, you're healed, and somebody gets up and walks. Yeah, exactly.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Praise Jesus.
I got hit in the head, and 4 days later I walked.
Yeah, I mean, but it is that kind of situation. I mean, without the dramas, as much as it's really just embodying the truth of what's possible,
I
right?
think that's the biggest thing, Robyn, is that, we'll talk about, and I remember I had been praying for years for my health. It wasn't a new thing. It didn't just happen in a miracle. It was that I had been doing treatment about it. I had double hip replacement. I mean, I'd been going through some health issues. And when I got on that plane to go to Kansas, the difference was in that moment, I believed it. It wasn't in that moment, it was like, wait a minute, this is done. Even though it took 4 more days to be realized. In my mind, it was done. And that's the difference. Because I'd been praying and wanting a healing. Well, you know what you get when you're wanting? A whole bunch more wanting. So,
Right.
it was just a journey to finally getting my head to a place of going, do you believe it or not?
Right.
You've been doing this for years. I had watched many people. I'd worked with lots of people who had amazing healings, what we would call miraculous. I think it's just the natural outpicturing of the law. And for me, it paid off. But it did in a lot of other ways too. Like prayer has always been my thing that I truly, truly love to do. I would rather do that than most things.
Really, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, and it sounds like when you made that decision to get on the plane or to do whatever you were doing, it's almost like when you're how do I say this? When you're going into prayer, uh, I want to say, I don't know, maybe it's not necessary. Anybody who's going into prayer, like we have to become conscious, a conscious co-creator, right?
Yes.
With spirit. So it's like, what does it mean to be a conscious co-creator of our reality? What would you say?
For me, it's number one, I got to believe that there is a power out there in the universe that's bigger than I am. There's something more than what's going on here, and I'm more than this body. And it's coming to terms recognizing that my mind builds my body, this one as well as the world of effect that I'm in. So everything is part of that. And so when we sit back and we go into prayer, whatever our doubts are, we learn, either a 5-step treatment or a 7. And the 7 is denying that little niggly voice that comes in and goes, yeah, but the doctor said it can never be healed. It can only get worse. And we believe the doctor. The doctor said it must be right.
Right.
And we buy that. And until we can reconfigure our thinking, and not just what I say as an affirmation, but really what I believe in my heart of hearts, when I believe that there is a power working in and through my life, creating perfect harmony, I have a choice to believe it or not. And whatever I choose gets to be my experience.
Right.
The reality, what I believe to be true will be true for me. Maybe not for everybody, but it will for me. Yeah.
Right. And I think what I heard you say was we have to believe it. And so what comes up for me, because I'm 100% with you, and I'm thinking, so when there is that, when there is any uncertainty or any doubt, how can we embrace that as a spiritual gift? Because that's really what it is on
It
some
is.
level. But
Yeah.
of course, we don't know that in the midst, you generally in the midst of, trauma or whatever's going on. So
Sure.
what would you say, how can we embrace that uncertainty?
I think uncertainty and discomfort are two things that we really love to avoid, and I get why they don't feel great. But the truth is that uncertainty is showing us that maybe there needs to be a shift in direction or perception, and discomfort is showing me that there's something running in my life that's in opposition to where I think I want to go. But if I can sit with whatever I'm feeling. So when I do work with people, when I am doing work with a client, I ask two questions. One is, what do you want? The second is, how would you feel emotionally if you had it? Because the truth is, you can go out and buy a new car, you can go get a new job, you can fall in love with somebody, but if you had that the way you truly imagine it for yourself, what would be the emotional attachment? How would you feel? And it was for me on that flight when I was at that place of, it was kind of a relief that I felt like, oh, of course, God's got this. I can let this go. And it was, it was 4 days later, but I never thought about it in that time. And I've had a couple of experiences like that. I had a spiritual epiphany when I was 27, which started me on the spiritual path. And what was interesting was I was a heavy smoker at the time. I smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day. And about a week later, I woke up and went, I really need to stop this. And the idea that came to mind is, this is the temple of God, and I don't have the right to kill it. And that changed everything. I was smoking 4 packs a day. I butted that cigarette out. I've never smoked since. And we're coming up to, I don't know, over 40 years now since I quit smoking. So it's like, but I never had a craving, not one.
Right.
And I think the reason I didn't have a craving is because my mind was clear. I was complete. I couldn't smoke and have my relationship with spirit that I was having in that moment. So it was a shift in perspective, and a really clear, strong shift. It's like the minute you accept a whole new idea, everything from the previous story has to go by the wayside.
Yeah, and I think, what came up for me when you were talking about that is love. And
Love's the answer.
Yeah, to me, love is always the answer, and self-love, and what the role self-love plays on our journey is incredible. It's so important, because you couldn't have made that decision without recognizing the love that God is, the love that you are, and holding that space.
Absolutely. Yeah, love is the focus of everything I do. I have love is the answer tattooed on my wrist. I've got the heart tattooed on my chest with the path to enlightenment symbol below it. And and I've got another infinity symbol on my arm with the initials of my children with infinite love. So for me, love is the answer to pretty much every question. And so I always ask myself when I'm in the midst of going, what would love do here? And I think about that a lot, because it's easy to get triggered or to act out in certain ways, or to accept difficulties. But we are powerful beyond anything we could ever imagine. And it's just up to us to stand in that power and go, wait a minute, there is something in me, being me, that is so much more than I could ever say, or, to know from my finite human perspective. As a spiritual being, we're so much more.
We're so much more. Yeah. And Wayne said, be good to yourself. Yep, that's absolutely right.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, Barbara Jean, why we haven't had you on our other show, Rockin' the Love. Clearly,
I don't know.
You were made for that one. we're gonna have to have you there.
I think so. I'm in. Just give me a date and time. I'll show up.
Okay. Clearly, I know that. I see that.
Yeah, obviously.
Thank you.
It's 8:30 at night here, and I was sitting, unwinding because I recorded a show earlier today that'll air tomorrow. So
for those of you that don't know, Barbara Jean has a show on New Thought Media Network as well. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I've got two shows. One airs Wednesdays at it's 4 p.m. Eastern, so that would be 2 Mountain, and that's called Spirit Cafe. And that's where we have courageous conversations. Tomorrow's show is about a two-spirited individual, Samuel, who also has a drag persona, Samantha, and the conversation is riveting. It's really, really good. So that's tomorrow at 4. And then on Friday this week is a great show. My show on Friday is the Joy Show, and Joy is an acronym that stands for Just One You. And so that show, this week, I'm actually interviewing my younger brother who a week ago, Saturday, saved the life of a jumper who was standing on the edge of a bridge when he drove by and went, whoa, and pulled his car over, called 911, but went over and talked to the young fella and convinced him to step back on the other side of the railing. And anyway, the story will be covered. You got to watch Friday, 1 o'clock Mountain, 3 o'clock Eastern, if you want to hear the whole story. And it's a good one. It's a good one. He's a hero for sure. So yeah, I absolutely love doing these shows. I love talking about spirit and metaphysics and life in general, right? It's good stuff. So I have to get you on our shows.
Yeah, Catherine says an angel. Clearly, he was an angel. That's beautiful.
Yeah, he is. He brings the love. You want to talk about somebody on your love show? Boy, there's somebody for your love show.
Well, apparently, your show follows our show on Wednesdays. Our shows are Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Mountain. And so you can tune in to Rockin' the Love at 1 p.m. Mountain. You can see Barbara Jean afterwards at 2. And then on Friday night, you can start out with her in the afternoon. And then you can take a little break and come back for Michael Mangus's fireside chat in the evening.
Before that, the good news. Sometimes I do it, sometimes Robert. So
well, you can always find something to do here.
I'll tell you, I keep busy.
So all this love talk and all of, clearly you've done a lot of things in your life, just by virtue of what you've told me here.
Bad and ugly.
Exactly. So maybe you can share with us some rituals or something that nourish your spirit, that continue to nourish your spirit, or how you keep going.
It's interesting, Robyn, because it's such a passion. And I think from the moment I had my spiritual epiphany, what I knew in that moment, it was when I walked I wasn't raised with religion. So my former mother-in-law convinced me to go to church with her one night. And I went, okay, I can stand an hour to get her to like me. That would be awesome if she liked me, right? So I show up for this church service, and it was a traditional evangelical kind of church. And I went in hoping to endure 1 hour, and I came out like somebody had lifted the shade, and I went from being in utter darkness to being able to see. Wow. And what I could see was that God is love. And so I stayed in that church for about 1.5 years, but they kept telling me all the reasons why everybody's going to hell except them. And I couldn't buy it because I knew God is love. And when I would ask the pastor questions, he couldn't answer them. And I'm like, okay, well, this isn't really working for me. I left there and I found CSL, and I started in Calgary and attended there. Dr. Arlene Bump was the first minister I had, and then Dr. Carol Carnes after that. And Carol is the one who trained me throughout my ministerial training.
I know Carol.
Carol, there you go. So she was my teacher for all of science of mind, 1-2 practitioner and ministerial training.
Wow.
So, and when I graduated from there, I went on to Vernon, British Columbia, and took over the center there, stayed there for 18 months, and then went to Toronto to start the first CSL there. It's been an interesting journey, because when I found this teaching, what I found was love. Like when I walked in to that theater that very first Sunday, Dr. Arlene was up there speaking, and the room felt like love. It felt like I'd landed, like I had come home. And I found a teaching that was reasonable, intelligent, and one that anybody could learn. Anybody could use this. It's not
Right.
for some. And what I love the most is that each and every one of us are created unique and special. Each and every one of us are here by divine appointment. There are no accidents, there are no mistakes, and none of us are broken. We're all here having this experience called living,
Right.
and all of it is what it is, the good, bad, and the indifferent. So for me, I was raised most of my life in poverty, and went through high school, pregnant at 15, married at 16, divorced at 18, married again at 21, divorced at 28, married again at 30. Okay, well, we could go on for days on that one. Um, I've been married 5 times. And the marriage I'm in right now is fabulous. We've been together 22 years. And, he's my partner. But I found him after I found this, because this saved my life. It
Wow.
helped me to see that I was more than the mistake that I believed I was. And so all of the hardship that I went through, being beaten by ex-husbands, Wayne is Santa's favorite. No, Wayne, I am Santa's favorite. I'm just kidding. My husband, I shouldn't say this in case kids are listening. My husband plays Santa Claus. So sorry, Wayne, but I win. No, just that particular one. The journey, what I love about this teaching is that it brought me joy. I was a very angry individual prior to finding this, and finding, I guess, first my spiritual awakening, because when I found that changed the game. All of a sudden, I knew there was something more. I'd always believed in God, whatever that was. I just didn't believe the idea of a guy in the sky, or I didn't believe the Adam and Eve stuff. And I was like, what? So when I found CSL, it was like this breath of fresh air, that here's something that talks intelligently about how we create. And we create by the way we think.
Right.
And what we think about, we actually bring about. So I have a really embarrassing story about that. Talk about manifesting. I put on a bunch of weight and wasn't very happy about it, and was working on trying to get it under control. And been working a lot. My husband and working a lot. And so I'm driving home one day, and it's late, and he phones me up and he said, look, stop at McDonald's, because truth is, it's late, it's almost 8:00, and we need food, and we just don't have time to cook right now. So I was like, yeah, fine. So as I'm driving to McDonald's, the thought in my mind is, this is the last place on earth I should be eating. So I drive into the drive-thru, place my order, somebody in the other lane places their order. We meet, where it's got 2 lanes, and you got to come together to go pay. And there's a little bit of who goes first. And she yells out her window at me going, "You're so fat. This is the last place on earth you should be eating." And I got a laugh, because it was almost verbatim what I had thought prior to driving in. I went, if anybody's wondering if God's got a sense of humor, well, let me tell you, definitely Spirit has a sense of humor. And I looked at the woman, I thought, holy man, you are evil. And then after I drove out, I thought, oh, I missed a golden opportunity, because I could have said, hey, honey, keep eating here, and you could look like this too. Oh, those afterthoughts are always so good.
Right?
I had to laugh about it. My husband was furious when I told him, but I said, but think about it. I had the thought and this woman showed up. Like,
Right?
wow, talk about instant manifestation. Our thoughts create our world. So what are we thinking about? And what I love about prayer is it interrupts those crazy thoughts that aren't serving us and allows
Yeah.
us to put our mind in alignment.
Yeah. Prayer is definitely a disruptor, the great disruptor.
A great disruptor. I love being.
Yeah. That's funny. It's funny that you said that. My experience is very similar. Not all of it, but my husband and I are going on 22 years of marriage this year.
Yeah.
And but going into a church, like when I first went to church, it was after not going to church for a long time. You know, I was through with God. I didn't understand it. I was like, because I remember when I was little, I asked my mom, how come none of my uncles went to church? And you know, I had all these uncles. You know how you acquire the aunts and the uncles that aren't family, but they're family.
Exactly.
And my mom had to explain to me, well, they're gay and they don't, you know, the church doesn't accept them. I was like, what the hell is that about? You know? And so I was like, nah, I'm done. And so when I first went to church one day, I just up and decided in LA, I was like, okay, I'm going to Agape, I'm going to church. So I went in and Reverend Michael was talking, and he was you know, talking about all this oneness stuff. And I was like, oh my God, thinking like, that's what I thought, you know, like that's exactly what I thought. And then he said God, and I went, he said God. I'm done. And I didn't go back for like a year and a half.
Wow.
And, you
Okay.
know, and then one night it happened again that my friends called and they're like, I had decided I was going to church that day, and they were like, we're going to Agape tonight. Do you want to go? I was like, I'm going. So I went, and, you know, and then I was able to decipher it a little better because there was this little book that was like the names of God, and it was a whole little pamphlet on, you know, what it meant. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. I can roll with that.
I can go with that.
Yeah. But it was, I mean, it is so interesting, the journey, right? And how we translate it and what we do with it.
And Michael was my inspiration.
Oh, yeah.
Which is interesting. You mentioned the Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, because when I was doing my intensive and my final panels at Asilomar in 1998, July, he was speaking there.
Uh-huh.
And I had just finished everything, was going into, and I'm questioning, like I'm this rebellious, radical, like, how do I do ministry? How do I put Rev in front of my name and actually be okay with that? And I knew I couldn't be like Carol. I knew that for certain, that I couldn't walk in her shoes. Well, we can't walk in anybody's, but it was like I knew I was very different from her. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I'm sitting in Merrill Hall, and Dr. Michael gets up, and he's up there, you know, pacing across the stage, and he screams out, the only reason Jesus could walk on water is he got out of the boat. Get out of the boat. Oh my God, I love this. What you can be wild and loud, and it's okay.
Right? It's so true.
Yeah, so he inspired me greatly. It was after hearing him, I thought, oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this. So that was July of 98.
Yeah, that's
And
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I was at that Asilomar working with the youth.
Okay. So we crossed paths somewhere along the way.
And yet it took this crisis to come together.
Oh my goodness. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, life is funny.
The universe brings together that which is meant to be together. I really believe that. Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So you're in LA?
I am not. I'm in Carlsbad, California.
Oh, you're in Carlsbad. Okay. Yeah, I've been
But
there.
I'm from LA. That's where I did all my training, was at Agape, and then moved up north. So yeah. Yeah. So the spiritual journey is quite amazing, and I think, part of it also, like, is just how willing are you to keep your eyes open during the journey? I mean, I get that image of a roller coaster, right? Where you're like closing your eyes. It's like, how willing are you to really be present and just hold
Yeah.
on and go for the ride?
Open your eyes and know that everything is unfolding. And whatever twists and turns there are, and those beautiful drops of the roller coaster, all of those are taking you someplace great if you go with it. Most of us resist it.
Yeah, and then what that's brought up for me over the last few weeks or months or whatever is I keep thinking, like, it's all it's all story.
It is.
There's no right story. It's all story. And so, like, what are you willing to do with the story, with your story?
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, we
When,
got to tell it. Be the
yeah,
light. Be the light.
we got to tell it, and we got to allow it to become whatever it's willing to become now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you inspired me because I've been sitting on a dream that I've been sitting on for, oh man, I was still in Calgary. So it's probably a good 23, 24-year-old dream that I'm finally putting rubber to the road. And it's taken all of these years to go, what are the excuses I've been telling myself about why I can't do it? And what if all of that is just bull? And that now's the time. I just had to get to this point in my life in order to tell the story. So I'm writing a musical about my life. And it's, a part of me ever since I got the vision of it, because it was a real loud vision. Spirit just sort of dropped this thing in, and I'm going, well, I can't do that because I'm not a musician.
It's so funny that you said that, because when you said that, the beginning of that, what came to me were lyrics from a song.
Which song?
Well, I don't know. Apparently, it's my Ray Davis day, but his song called "Average Man," and it says, "What if I was born for greatness? What if I was born for greatness? What if I am really more than I think I am? What if mediocrity was never in the stars for me? The miracles and the wonders and the plan for the average man."
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting because years ago, probably in about 1993 or 94, I wrote a poem called I See. And the poem is kind of along those lines you just spoke of. That's interesting. I'll have to check out that song. Well, what I realized this year is I don't have to write all the music. I have the vision. How many musicians are there right here in CSL? Like, I don't need to write music. I don't need to find musicians. We have tons of them.
Right.
Yeah, we're telling a story. And what's the story? The story is about waking up, which is every person's story, right? So mine will be from my perspective. But anyway, it's taken me this long to be able to go, I'm going to do this now. Whether it succeeds or not, well, that's not my, the how of it is God's job. Mine is just to go, here's my intention, and then to start moving toward it, which is what I'm doing now.
Well, and I think that's a beautiful line to close on, because I was thinking, as you spoke, before you spoke it, that it really is all about intention, right?
Yeah.
So when we set our intention, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about, for a prayer or, for the next steps of our life, it's just really setting that intention and being clear on it and ready to move on it.
Yeah. And one of the things that I hear a lot from people when we talk about, their dreams and stuff, so often I hear from people going, well, I set an intention and then it didn't happen. So it must not be God's will. Going, well, you're God. So you tell me, is it your will or not? So
Yeah.
I get a little bit like, say what? But it's true. Like we set an intention and then it doesn't manifest in a minute. Well, this intention for this musical was set back in, I don't know, 94, 95 or some ridiculous year. And here we are just a couple of years later. And I've been working on it. I mean, I've done stuff over the years, but now it's like, stop with the fiddling around and put the rubber on the road and see what happens. But I hear often people going, oh, well, must not be God's will. Well, let me interrupt that for you.
Right. Right. Right.
You're the one stopping it, not God. God only says, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It reminds me of this story. One time I was late to something and I didn't want to go in, and I told them I was going to be late and I didn't want to interrupt. And I came in the door like so quietly, trying to be quiet. And of course the whole room turned around and was like, hi, Robyn, hi. And the person speaking, I was like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. And he was like, oh, you can't. And he kept going. And I was like, oh, I can't interrupt. I can't. I can't. If we believe what we say, I can't. Yeah. That was like such a revelation for me, though, because of all the times we want to stop ourselves by going, oh, it shouldn't have happened this way. I shouldn't have done it that way. Why did I?
It's all perfect.
Why did you? I mean, so there's something there to be learned,
Yeah.
So
my favorite thing is, it is what it is.
Yeah. That's a good one. And somebody said the other day, a new one that I hadn't heard, that said something like, I love what goes out and I love what comes in.
I love that. That is awesome. That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah, because love is it. Like I look at the teachings of Jesus, and it just, I laugh because he's Jewish, right?
Right.
This Jewish guy who did what? Love. And so Christianity takes his name, and then what do they do? Did I say that out loud?
It was very soft.
It was very soft. Okay, probably nobody got it, so that's good. I mean, I don't understand how the teachings of Jesus became teachings that cause separation, and in a number of places they do. Not everywhere. It's not all Christians for sure, but I definitely see some places where it's them and us. And that, in my mind, is not what Jesus taught. And so if I'm going to follow his teaching, which I would be happy to do, that would be speak the word and know it's done. Sounds like CSL. And love, period. End of story. Beginning, end, and middle. Love, 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 period. And not some people, but everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's so beautiful. So I just want to thank you so much for jumping in. It's been amazing. And
I'm going to get you on my shows. So
done. And we'll get you on ours too.
Perfect.
But yeah, I mean, if you take away anything from the show, I just really hope, like, the power of our prayer and our intention, right?
Absolutely.
The power of our prayer and our intention, and love.
Love is the way. Love is the way. My talk last Sunday was the power of intention.
There you go. The power of intention. And as we say on the other show, keep on rocking the love. You got to rock
the love. It can't lead you wrong.
That's right.
It's been great to spend time with you, Robyn. Thank you.
Thank you, Spirit.
All
right. Yeah, thank you, Robert, and thank you, Michael Mangus. Thank you, everyone, for stepping in. Thank you, Natasha, for weathering through for the first 10 minutes and being with us.
Feel
And
good, Natasha.
yeah, as I said last week that it would be different this week, it was. And we'll just see what next week holds. I won't make any promises except that we'll be here. So we'll see you next week right here on Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
It is what it is. Bye, Robyn. Bye, everyone.
Bye.